Okay, so I got my tires for this thing. This is my Panasonic 1985 bike. It's upside down in case you are wondering why it's not wheels down. So the tires are cracked. They're really old. It's Michelin Axial Pro or whatever. So I ordered Michelin tires, lithium 0.2. These are brand new. I got them on eBay for $50 something for the pair. This is how they come. They're foldable tires. So I'm going to show you how to change the tires on a road bike when you don't have all the fancy tools and things. So now this is not ideal way of doing it, but this is a way that you can do it if you really got to do it and you don't have the tools. You don't have those plastic tools to undo all this, and I just use some screwdrivers that will mark the wheel a little bit, so you gotta be okay with that. These are just regular, not anything special tires. I mean wheels, sorry, which I'm okay with putting marks on. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is empty the tire. So I took the cap off and unscrew this a little bit. So that's the keeper that keeps the valve closed. Now I'm gonna put the air out. Just let as much air as you can out, so then you can work on it. So then basically you go like this. I put the valve at the very bottom and I work on the opposite side. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. Whoa! Let me see if I can put the camera in a way that I can have two of my hands. There we go. So I'm going to, actually I'm going to use a smaller screwdriver. Let's see, where is it? You got to be careful not to grab the tube inside. Just grab the edge of the tire. And then with the second screwdriver, I'm going to step off maybe 1.5 inches or 2 and stick that in. Now I'm holding both of them with one hand. I'm going to use, oops, that happens. Stick a third one in and pull that out. And now, once you do the 3, that's enough for it to stay out. Then you can just pull all the screwdrivers out and use one to work the rest of it out. Now I can just pull it out with my fingers like this. Okay, so one side is out. Then what you need to do is you need to get the valve out. Actually, we'll work on the opposite side of the valve again. And I'm going to try to pull the tube out like that. I'll just work my way around to the valve and do the same thing on the other side. And then we'll pull the valve out. So now the tube is safe. Put that away. And we do the same thing for the other side of the tire. Stick one screwdriver in. Stick the second one a couple inches down. Pull that out. Sometimes that's enough. With this one, it's enough. And then come right out. So there's the old tire. As you can see, let's see here. If I can get it to focus. There's cracks. Anyway, it's all cracked. Alright, so I'm gonna unpackage the new tire. And it's very flat when it comes out of the package. So what we're going to need to do is work one of the sides in. So I'm just going to start on one side and work this side into the rim. Gotta watch the bottom here because it keeps coming out at the bottom. So you just kind of work it in as much as you can, and then at the top, once I have both sides pretty close in, as you can see, it starts right here. See how this is in and that's not. And over here, same thing. So the rest of it's going to be hard to get in. I'm going to need to use some tools for it. So same thing, I'm going to use some screwdrivers to push that in. Stick it under. Work it in. Got to hold this other side in so it doesn't pop back out. Alright, one side is in. So now, I need to get the tube in here. So, I will use the valve side first. Need to find the hole for the valve. Let's see, where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay, so there's the hole for the valve. So I'm going to stick that in. Now on these tires, on these tubes, inside here, it's a fatter piece of rubber and a little bit of metal inside. So you need to make sure that this entire piece of tube is inside the tire and not underneath these edges, because then the edges won't go into the tire. So you need to make this part right here float up in the tire until it's all pumped up and everything, and then it will position itself where it needs to go. Otherwise you won't be able to get this edge of the tire in with this fat piece of rubber in there. I hope that makes sense. Once you do this, you'll figure it out. It took me about 2 tries to figure out what to do with that. So I'm just working the tube into the tire. and into the rim area as much as I can. Alright, that's in. So now I'm going to find the valve and put it down at the bottom and work on the opposite side. So I'm just going to push this edge in inside and just kind of go around doing that. Make sure the tire doesn't get stuck under. It's a little awkward at first, but once some of it gets in there, it starts to work its way in. Because this tire is so flat, it's gonna take it a little bit to figure out what its position is supposed to be. Most of this is easy peasy until you get to the very end. Alright, that's the valve, so I'm going to start working on the opposite side and get to the valve from this side. See, I'm pushing the tube in over here and pushing the tire in over here because I don't want to pinch the tube. Alright, so there's my valve. I'm going to actually step away from the valve a little bit because I want to do that. Actually, do I? I don't want to do that last. I'm going to take care of that tube first. I mean the valve first and the work on this. Finishing it in a different spot because I don't want to mess with the valve. So I'm going to push the valve in so it's kind of floating at the top. And I'm going to stick this edge in under it. And then work. Oops. I don't want to pinch the tube like that. That's a good way to compromise it. Okay. So this is the last part right here. As you can see, it starts over here, ends over here. And this is the hardest part because you also want to make sure you're not pinching the tube as you're working with tools in here. That's a good way to puncture it. Okay, make sure you hold this side so it doesn't pop out. There we go. Okay, now I'm just going to go around and push it down so it's in the right position. Just going to pinch it like this and push it down into the rim. Make sure all the edges are in evenly. Alright, looks good. So now I'm going to pull the valve down a little bit to just down as much as it's gonna go. And I'm gonna pump up the wheel. Let's see. Got this tool, this little deal. It has a hole over here with a rubber seal. That's the end that goes on this type of a valve. See how thin it is? And the camera's having a hard time focusing. There we go. So this would actually go on top of this. Make sure this is unscrewed so the valve has play here. And then we're gonna screw this on. And this way you can use a regular bike pump or car tire pump or whatever to pump up the wheel. On this tire it says that 111 psi maximum. I believe that's what it said. Let me see here. It's not on the other one. 116 psi max. So I'm not gonna pump it up to that. I have a pump like this that has a little psi meter here. I'm gonna go to about 60 psi. Excuse the noise. So about 60 psi. That's good. Unscrew this. Now you can see that if I press this, it lets the air out. So we're gonna tighten this up so it doesn't, so it locks the valve in. And I'm gonna put the cap on it. Right. Stick the tire back in. It's a nice thing on these, on these road bikes that so easy to put these tires back in. You can do it with one hand, see? I'm just pushing that in. Alright. And push it back and tighten. Here we got nice tire. Okay, I'll show you how it rides tomorrow.